Ever since I was a kid, my mother always taught me that there are plenty of women out there. The moment one cheats, you replace her immediately. So, when I saw my girlfriend of 3 years braving the pouring rain for another man, right when she thought she had hidden it so well, I didn't say a word and calmly took a picture. I went ahead and posted the video of her and her junior classmate hugging and kissing in the rain. Across the entire campus of Capital University, broke. Comments from our mutual friends immediately flooded the screen. Seeing them panic like that didn't surprise me at all, because who didn't know how deeply Teo Jai Jai used to be in love with me? She had chased after me for 2.5 years, clinging to me and begging 88 times before I reluctantly agreed. I stared at the forum feed and suddenly felt like her complete love had been split in two. One half was for me, while the other half had been secretly given to someone else. I didn't go to confront her, nor did I play out some cliché drama of trying to win her back. I just quietly deleted all my social media accounts, packed my bags, and walked out of our apartment without looking back once. Early the next morning, Tu Jai Jai received a phone call from her best friend. Tu Jai Jai, have you completely lost your mind? Hearing those words, Tu Jai Jai froze for a moment. But her best friend didn't give her any time to think and immediately lashed out. Thom Man is such a great guy, yet you didn't appreciate him. You even went and messed around with another man. What on earth did he do to deserve this? How could you disgust him to this point? Left utterly humiliated by her best friend's scolding, Tu Jai Jai finally caught the main point of what she was saying. She suddenly bolted upright. What do you mean by that? Explain it to me clearly. I'm asking you, where are you right now? Tu Jai Jai was about to answer when she suddenly remembered she was still at the hospital with Luke. Lie. The words died in her throat, but her friend clearly knew why she was hesitating. Seeing this, her friend's anger flared up even more. Are you seriously still at the hospital right now? You're by that Luke Lie guy's side, aren't you? Do you have any idea that photos and videos of the two of you have spread all over the school forum? Hearing this, Tu Jai Jai felt like her head was about to explode. Only then did she suddenly remember she had a date last night. It was just that after bringing Luke Lie to the hospital, she got so busy that she completely forgot about it. But what about Thom Man? Did he wait for her at the bakery all night? And most importantly, what would Thom Man think when he saw those pictures? In a panic, she hung up the phone, only to see countless missed calls, and every single one of them was from me. At that exact moment, Tu Jai Jai felt a sharp pang of pain and instinctively clutched her chest. She quickly opened our chat. After seeing my message asking her to meet up, she was about to call back to explain everything to me. But just then, her hand was grabbed tightly by Luke Lie beside her. Sister Gi, can you please stay here with me? Without saying a word, Tu Jai Jai coldly brushed Luke Lie's hand away. At this moment, her sanity warned her that if she didn't show up on time at the location I had sent, I would be absolutely furious. But then she thought back to that moment years ago, when I had saved her from a raging fire. Tu Jai Jai's anxious heart gradually settled down. No way. He loves me so deeply. He even risked his life to run into a sea of fire for me. So how could he abandon me over something like this? As time slowly ticked away, I stared at the empty seat in front of me. 10 minutes. Then another 10 minutes. And Jai Jai still didn't show up. By this time, compared to our scheduled meeting time, a full hour had already passed. I felt a bit disappointed, but not completely devastated. I had originally wanted to break up with her in person, but unfortunately, some people just don't want to end things amicably. With that thought, I looked down and posted my pre-written draft to my friend, Circle. A few minutes later, the Capital University forum exploded once again, because someone had screenshotted my post, which read, "Happily single." I didn't even bother with the buzzing forum and drove straight toward the airport. Once there, I told the driver to head back to the villa. After instructing Aunt Zhao about my trip, I turned off my phone and boarded the plane. 3 hours after my flight took off, Xiao Jai Jai finally left the hospital. But what she never expected was to hear the news that I had declared myself single. In sheer disbelief, she tapped on my profile. But what caught her eye was just a single horizontal line. Seeing this, Xiao Jai Jai froze, right where she stood. She couldn't help but wonder if I had blocked her or unfriended her. Panicking, she scrambled to call my number. But on the other end, there was only the cold, mechanical, automated message repeating over and over. Gi didn't understand what kind of situation she was in. She only felt, at this exact moment when she couldn't reach me, that her world was turning upside down. Everything before her suddenly faded into gray. While clutching onto her last sliver of hope, she rushed to the address I had sent her. Xiao Jiajai looked around, hoping to catch a glimpse of me. But amidst the bustling crowd rushing by, I was nowhere to be found. This cafe was one Xiao Jiajai had opened specifically for me. It was also our most frequent date spot. She stared intently at the familiar place before her, feeling as though every table held a silhouette of me and her deep in conversation, bright smiles on their faces. But, in the blink of an eye, the illusion shattered. Xiao Jiajai found a staff member and, trying to sound calm, asked where I had gone. Young Master Shen sat here for 2 hours and then left. He didn't order anything either. When did he leave? Let me think. Probably around 10:30. Thinking of this time, Xiao Ji looked down at her phone. According to their texts, they had agreed to meet at the cafe at 9:30. But now it was already 2 in the afternoon. After I had arrived right on time, I had waited another hour for her. During that hour, what had Shen Mo been thinking? What kind of decision had he made? And during the entire hour she failed to show up, he hadn't made a single move to contact her. Although she desperately didn't want to admit it, at this very moment, Xiao Jiai's overconfidence completely crumbled. She began to realize that I was actually furious this time. By doing this, could it be that Shen Mo didn't want her anymore? As soon as this thought crossed her mind, Xiao Jai felt a sharp sting in her nose, and her hands trembled uncontrollably. Like a soulless corpse, she dragged herself back to her car. With shaking hands, she repeatedly dialed my number. I know how much time had passed when the other phone on the passenger seat, Xiao Jiai's, also started vibrating. Lu Li probably couldn't reach her on this line, so he called her backup number instead. But Xiao Jai had absolutely no intention about to answer the phone. Her chest tightened, her head felt like it was splitting open, and her eyes blurred with tears, making even blinking incredibly difficult. Her mind was completely blank. Xiao Jiajia wanted to drive to Shen Mo's house to find me, but she realized her hands on the steering wheel had absolutely no strength left. For a few seconds, Xiao Jia was still in a daze when her best friend called. Xiao Jia hurriedly picked up. The first words out of her mouth were, "Please help me." On the other end, her best friend froze, then let out a soft sigh. After sending her location to her best friend, Xiao Jia finally felt like she had someone to pour her heart out to. She muttered in pain, "I can't get in touch with Shen Mo. I didn't know things would turn out like this. He must be so hurt. That's why he doesn't want to care about me anymore. It's not that you didn't know. You were just too greedy. Xiao Jia. If we hadn't grown up together, I would absolutely despise you for acting like this." Her best friend's words were harsh, but Xiao Jia didn't argue back. She hung her head low, asking herself why she had done something so hurtful to me. When did it all actually start? It seemed that even though she was the one who made everyone look up to her, the perfect golden child in everyone's praises, she was always the most special person in my eyes. No matter when or where, as long as she was there, my gaze would always linger on her. No matter the time, as long as she needed me, I would appear by her side, without a single second of hesitation. I never lost my temper, never demanded anything, and just quietly bore all the hardships. Because of that, the sharp, capable version of me that others saw had absolutely no sharp edges when I was with her. So when Lu Li, with a completely different personality, showed up, Xiao Jia started to drift away. Compared to someone who never demanded anything like me, Lu Li was so easy to please. With just a tiny bit of attention from her, Lu Li would be happy for an entire month. This unfamiliar sense of accomplishment made her stop resisting Lu Li's deliberate advances. She began to change, started lying to me, and spending more and more time with Lu Li. What on earth did I do wrong? Xiao Jia had never felt like this before. Recognizing her own selfishness and utter humiliation, she leaned back exhausted against the driver's seat. By the time her best friend rushed over, what she saw was this miserable, half-dead state of Xiao Jia. Smelling the disinfectant on her, the friend pinched her nose in disgust. "Don't tell me you're planning to wear those filthy clothes to go see Shen Mo." Hearing her friend's voice, Xiao Jia snapped out of her daze. After a moment, she forced a weak smile and said, "Let me clean myself up first. Then I'll go find him." Seeing her like this, her friend didn't know what else to say. She took her to a hotel to wash up and change, and then they rushed over to my place. But even after standing outside my door for half an hour, there was no sign of anyone. Nervously, Xiao Jiajia took a few steps forward and tried to use her fingerprint to unlock the door. But the moment she pressed her finger against it, the system chimed with a recognition failure. Hearing that mechanical chime, Xiao Jiajia froze right where she stood. She couldn't accept it and wanted to try again. But right then, Aunt Zhao's voice suddenly rang out from behind. Miss Xiao, you must be here to find Shenmo. I know, but the young master has gone on a trip. He won't be home for a while. Is greater than I'm not sure when he'll be back. Tomorrow, I'm going abroad for a trip as well, so there's no need for you to come here anymore. Seeing Aunt Zhao finish speaking and turn to walk inside, Xiao Jiajia hurriedly stopped her. Aunt Zhao, can you please help? Call Shenmo. I have something to tell him. I'm begging you, please. This is the young master's decision. I can't help you. Miss Xiao, you and the young master have known each other for years. You must know his temper by now. Ask yourself what you did to make our young master act so cold and heartless. Besides, since he was a child, our young master has never had to suffer a single grievance. You are the first person who made him so angry that he actually cried. I hope you won't regret this in the future. Xiao Jiajia's throat felt like it was choked up, and she couldn't squeeze out a word for the longest time. As for Aunt Zhao's question, she couldn't answer it, nor did she have the face to. The door in front of her closed once again. Xiao Jiajia's red-rimmed eyes finally overflowed with tears. Her clenched fists turned white. She swayed on her feet, as if about to collapse. The best friend took in the whole scene and could only sigh in the end. Both he and Xiao Jiajia knew very well that they definitely wouldn't be able to see me today. As for what would happen later, Xiao Jiajia didn't even dare to think about it. Meanwhile, after my plane landed at Gangcheng International Airport, I happened to run into a pot-bellied man pestering a girl, clearly trying to get her contact info. After being rejected, he intentionally touched her, and then openly slandered her as a gold digger. Everyone around just stood there watching the drama. Finding it unbearable, I stepped in to help. But before we could even swap a few words, the man lost his temper and started screaming at the top of his lungs. I didn't hold back either and got physical. Before long, the airport security rushed over and surrounded us. At the same time, in the VIP lounge nearby, a few people had witnessed the whole thing. This young man is pretty impressive. He really is. It's just that he's going to have some trouble soon. Throwing punches right at Gangcheng Airport. This could be a big deal, or a small one depending on how you look at it. If that beaten man refuses to let it go, I'm afraid he'll have to spend a few days in the precinct. Are you planning to play the beauty saving the hero, Sister Han? Don't worry, he won't need it. Hearing this, Jia Yuejiao was about to say something else when she saw me not far away making a phone call. Then, the security captain picked up his walkie-talkie, said something, and respectfully made way. He gestured for me to pass, and after I left, they dragged away the kneeling man. The man, who was in too much pain to even stand up, was dragged off. Sister Han, how did you know he would be fine? When that young man got off the plane, the crew personally escorted him out. To be treated with such respect by the crew doesn't just mean he's wealthy, but also implies he has quite a background. Outside the airport, because those girls were so enthusiastic and insisted on buying me dinner, I couldn't easily refuse. By the time I finished checking into the hotel, it was already 8 o'clock in the evening. Looking at my phone, which was dying fast from a barrage of constant calls, I frowned in annoyance. Then, while charging it, I called my parents to let them know I arrived safely. The next day, my parents told me to send my older sister, Shen Jingyue, the hotel's address so she could send me some things. After I hung up, I stared at the number that was once again taking the chance to call again. I clicked my tongue in annoyance. Even though it was an unknown number, I didn't even need to think to know who was calling. On the other end of the line, Xiao Jiajia had assumed that this call would also go unanswered. But then the connection went through. Staring at the screen showing the active call, Xiao Jiajia's heart skipped a beat. Are you okay? Less than a day had passed, but right now, Xiao Jiajia didn't look human anymore. Her eyes were bloodshot with deep dark circles, her whole body exhausted and completely lifeless. I couldn't see her, and even if I could, I wouldn't have cared. My dear Miss Xiao, don't you ever get tired? Over 99 missed calls. If my phone wasn't of such high quality, I'm afraid it would have completely died by now. Where are you? I'll come find you. Can we please just meet up and talk this out? What are you planning to say to me? Talk about how you were sneaking around with Lu Li behind my back? Or about how thrilling your secret little affair was? Or maybe you want to tell me that even though you cheated, I'm still the one you love the most? Xiao Jiajia, your apology isn't worth a single cent to me. It's not like that. Shenmo, nothing crossed the line between me and Lu Li. At most, it was just that hug. There was absolutely nothing else. I even rejected him directly. Please, give me a chance, won't you? She choked out, desperately trying to salvage things. Ever since she lost contact with me, yesterday, Xiao Jiajia felt her entire world go completely empty. In her head, there was only one single thought. The person she absolutely could not live without him. Only by finding him would anything in her life make sense again. Because of this, she had been frantically trying to contact him. But she never expected to receive such a harsh, cold response from him. Before Xiao Jiajia could say another word, only the long, hopeless dial tones of a hung-up call remained. Instinctively, she hit redial, only to find that I had blacklisted her number, forcing her to use another number to call me. Looking at the phone ringing yet again, and thinking about my promise to my parents, I held back and resisted the urge to shut it off. So, the first thing I did after stepping out of the house was to go straight to a carrier store to get a new SIM card. After sending the new number to my parents, I permanently blocked the old one. At that point, I finally followed the map's directions to the entrance of the bar. A few minutes later, Jiang Yuejiao walked towards me alongside her brother. At that time, I, sitting on a bar stool in front of the counter, playing with my phone. She looked up, let out a yawn, but then suddenly froze, her eyes widening. Could it really be such a coincidence? Jiang Yuejiao's heart began to thud as she walked over to me. I happen to be the manager of this bar. Hey there, handsome. What can I do for you? I'd like to book that entire sofa area over by the beach. Only after entering the bar did I realize that the end of this cobblestone street was actually the shoreline. Sitting in that spot, you could take in the entire view, the beach. I have a bit of a quirky habit. I like to find a quiet space in the midst of a crowd. Jiang Yuejiao followed my gaze, looking towards the west side of the bar. Then, she let out a chuckle. Aren't you being a bit too domineering? That is the best spot in the entire bar. You want to hog it all to yourself? If you weren't so handsome, I would have kicked you out already. I glanced at her, and with a quick flick of my wrist, a card appeared as if by magic. Trick. There's money to be made. Do you want to earn some? Jiang Yuejiao stared intently at the card in my hand. Immediately, she smiled so wide her eyes crinkled. She handed it to the server behind her, and only then did she ask me how many seats I wanted. I gave a firm answer, and Jiao gestured with her eyes. Immediately, someone went to clear a table. Before long, someone came to lead me to a seat by the floor-to-ceiling window. Jiao, why did you agree to his request? Our bar isn't short of money. Hearing this, Jiang Weirjiao glanced at him, thinking back to when I was at the airport, and the way a certain woman couldn't take her eyes off him. She replied with a hidden meaning. I'm afraid someone will scold me. Once she walked away, the young man who had just asked finally got it. What did Jiang Weirjiao just say? Jiang Weirjiao didn't care what the people in the bar thought. She hurried into the elevator to the second floor, and then, without pausing, headed straight into the private room. Guess who I just ran into downstairs? As she opened the door and walked in, she saw that the two people inside had already fallen asleep. Seeing this, she pouted, let out a lazy yawn, and closed her eyes to join them. Half an hour later, Lan Weert finally patted her awake to go downstairs and grab a bite. Jiang Weirjiao, yawning and still half asleep, followed the two of them out. Just as they stepped out of the private room, Jiang Weirjiao suddenly snapped awake. She was about to speak when she saw Ko Than Han standing ahead, looking down at the lower floor. Noticing her gaze, Jiang Weirjiao slapped her forehead. Sister Han, I forgot to tell you that the other side of him is completely surrounded by those girls. The counter where they usually sit to eat is also within 10 meters of my place. Right now, a third of the customers in the main hall are lining up in front of my spot. Those who aren't in line are focusing all attention over there. Even a lot of guys have gathered around to watch excitement. As for him, he doesn't turn anyone down, as long as they are willing to lie. The figure, anyone can sit across from him to play around. If they win, they can at him. But if they lose, they have to run a lap along the beach. Just as they were standing there, they saw two more girls running outside, and finally noticed what Thumb Mart was doing. Jiang Weirjiao was utterly speechless. This guy really knows how to have fun, she said. Lang Weird made no comment. but Ko Thang-han withdrew her gaze and headed toward the elevator. For some reason, Jiang Weert Zhao suddenly felt a bit of a chill. She nudged Lan Weert on purpose. Do you feel like something's off? Your head is what's off. You even sold our dining table. Why don't you just donate your brain while you're at it? Ko Thang-han didn't like food smells lingering in the private room, which was why they were eating on the first floor. Jiang Weert Zhao knew exactly why Lan Weert was angry and quickly chased after her, begging for forgiveness. Let me go negotiate with him and borrow a table so we can eat our dinner. Zhang Weert Zhao didn't mind Lan Weert's coldness at all. Heading downstairs, she quickly marched over to me, offered a greeting, and sat down right in front of me. Free drinks today in exchange for borrowing a table for us to eat. Will you say yes? Jiang Weert Zhao then walked over to the bench, right next to me, and waved Ko Thang-han and Lan Weert over. Lan Weert lowered her voice and grumbled that, after all, they were the owners of this place. Yet they ended up having to borrow a table from a customer just to eat. It was all the karma Jiang Weert Zhao had brought upon them. On the other hand, Ko Thang-han seemed completely unaffected. She withdrew her gaze from me, then walked over and sat down next to Jiang Weert Zhao. While we were waiting for the food to be served, Jiang Weert Zhao leaned close to the sofa right next to my side, pressing close against me and the others who came over to chat. As the dice game went on, second by second, minute by minute slipped away. Soon, there were barely any players left. Not a single soul could beat me. Seeing this, I let out a lazy yawn and stood up, ready to leave. Jiang Weert Zhao froze, startled by my sudden move, and immediately blurted out in a rush. Wait, you're leaving already? Is it really that boring? Why don't you consider playing with us instead? My sister, Thang-han's dice rolling skills are seriously top tier. I paused and tilted my head to look over, my eyes landing on the woman who was looking down, casually scrolling through her phone. Honestly speaking, out of all the women I've ever met, she is definitely the most eye-catching. Almost as if sensing my gaze, Ko Thang-han, who was looking at her phone, raised her eyes. Our gazes locked. I gave her a casual nod and walked over, right up to her. Wanna play? Hearing that, Ko Thang-han let out a soft chuckle. She clearly knew what we were playing, yet she still asked. My side had been so noisy. How could she not have noticed? But then again, maybe she really didn't. After all, she was so engrossed. Phone. Realizing this, my interest quickly faded. After all, the only reason I had walked over was because I saw her looking at me. Since she didn't seem interested, I decided to just drop it. I flashed an apologetic smile, saying, "Sorry for bothering you," and turned to leave. Ko Thang-han watched me walk away, an indescribable feeling suddenly stirring in her heart. I heard her click her tongue, but I still pretended not to notice. But Jiang Weert Zhao wasn't about to let me leave just like that. She hurriedly rushed over to block my path and blurted out anxiously, "Come on, let's play." My sister Han said she'd play. "I'm not playing with her," I replied. "How about playing with you instead?" Hearing this, Nguyen Thang Nguyet was completely stunned. But in the next second, sensing the sharp glare from Ko Thang-han, she immediately snapped out of it and shook her head vigorously. "I don't know how to play at all. You should play with Sister Han. She's really good at it." Her mouth was full of praise, but her eyes were filled with pure desperation. Only heaven knew how rare it was for Ko Thang-han to look at someone more than once. If she ruined this, for her, Jiang Weert Zhao's bosses would definitely skin her alive. Although it was our first time meeting, I quickly got her drift. I didn't really like it and was about to politely decline, but she wasn't about to let me off. How was that even possible? She's just playing hard to get, you know. I couldn't help but chuckle, turning my head to look at Ko Thang-han. She looked incredibly embarrassed and stiff because of that remark, yet she still forced herself to act like nothing was wrong. This only made me laugh more playfully. Sitting down in front of her once again, I gave the dice cup on the table a light shake. "How do you want to play?" Ko Thang-han leaned forward slightly. "Best of 3. Let's go with your rules. If you lose, you run one lap outside. If you win, you get my contact info. Deal?" "Deal." Ko Thang-han didn't argue and just let me make the rules. "You go first." Ko Thang-han didn't refuse. She pushed the cup forward, casually shook it 2 or 3 times on the table, and then stopped, followed by a gesture inviting me to take my turn. I also just shook mine a few times and set it down. But the result was exactly as Jiang Weert Zhao had said. Even though in every single round I rolled 3 ones, Ko Thang-han stacked all 3 of her dice on top of each other, showing only a single one. With no other choice, I had to accept my defeat, and immediately, I was planning to slip out for a bit. Seeing me move, Gu Qinghan immediately signaled with her eyes into Jiang Yuejiao, who caught on instantly and quickly stepped in to stop me. Wait a second, handsome, please don't go yet. Do you really think we girls are that easygoing? They didn't want me to slip away? Of course not, she said. We won, after all. We want to get your contact info. Hearing that, I couldn't play dumb anymore. I had no choice but to obediently pull out my phone. After exchanging contact info with Gu Qinghan, Jiang Yuejiao also chimed in on the fun. I want to add you, too. But I'm definitely not as good at playing dice as you are. How about this? From now on, whenever you come here, everything is on the house. Then how about you treat me to a meal instead? Jiang Yuejiao's personality was easy to read. She was a total foodie. If I went with her, I wouldn't have to worry about ending up at a bad place. Hearing this, Yuejiao quickly scanned my QR code. It's a deal then. My name is Jiang Yue, Jiao. By the way, are you here in Harbor City for a vacation? For now, you could say that. If you ever need anything, just shoot me a text. I should head back and get some rest. See you around. Before Jiang Yuejiao could even try to stop me, I had already walked out of the bar. A few minutes later, seeing Gu Qinghan deep in thought, Leng Yue couldn't help but ask, "What's on your mind, Sister Han? Are you interested in him?" Gu Qinghan rubbed her slightly aching temples and let out a sigh. Music. But he doesn't seem to have the slightest interest in me. Leng Yue waved it off and glanced at Jiang Yuejiao. Honestly, it looks like he was way more enthusiastic towards Yuejiao than he was with you. But those words startled Jiang Yuejiao, who was currently scrolling through my social feed. No way, really? But thinking back to what just happened, it actually seemed true. Shen Mo treated me way better than he did Gu Qinghan. As she spoke, she shoved her phone in front of Gu Qinghan's face. Look, he just broke up. Judging by his feed, it only happened 2 days ago. Hearing that, Leng Yue leaned in, her face full of disbelief. What? No way. Are people in this world really that blind? My personality and looks weren't exactly his type, but he wouldn't go against his conscience to say I wasn't a good person. But when she saw the posts on my social feed, even she fell into a rare silence. Wow, there really is someone that blind. Jiang Yuejiao knit her brows and started analyzing. So, Shen Mo came to Harbor City to heal his broken heart? That's perfect. Sister Han, you should totally take this chance and make your move. Seeing how excited Jiang Yuejiao was, Gu Qinghan couldn't help but doubt herself. Was she really that obvious? Not obvious. At all. It's just that from the moment you saw Shen Mo yesterday, your eyes have been practically glued to him. And yesterday at the airport, you said he didn't need our help. But in the end, you still contacted the airport manager to make things easier for him. Gu Qinghan said those things, but she had clearly just sent a text to him. Jiang Yuejiao's sharp eyes caught the message she had just sent out. If Gu Qinghan's actions yesterday could still be chalked up to a sudden wave of kindness, her actions today were truly beyond anything the two of them expected. That's why Jiang Yuejiao had offered her place and pushed for Gu Qinghan and me to play dice. Gu Qinghan hadn't refused at all, which proved that her guess wasn't wrong at all. No. Looking at the two of them winking and gesturing in front of her, Gu Qinghan helplessly shook her head, not denying it at all. Gu Qinghan had never been in a relationship, but she knew very well that her feelings for me were absolutely not simple. It wasn't just about wanting to be ordinary friends. Her racing heartbeat and that burning warmth were both reminding her. These were experiences she had never had before. Thinking about silently calling my name in her heart and dazing off under the teasing gazes of Jiang Yuejiao and Leng Yue, her hands flushing red, she finally spoke up and set a rule. Don't go bother him. Jiang Yuejiao and Leng Yue looked at each other and nodded. From what I gathered, Leng Yue knew that this relationship needed to develop naturally. As for Jiang Yuejiao, she felt that as long as she didn't mention Gu Qinghan, inviting me out to hang out wouldn't count as violating the request of Gu Qinghan. On the other hand, ever since I left the bar, I had noticed in the shadows that there were quite a few eyes watching me. Strangely enough, before I could even do anything, those eyes vanished completely. I walked around a few more times. After making sure those people secretly tailing me had truly disappeared completely, I finally took a cab back to the hotel. After a quick wash-up, I took my phone out to the hotel balcony. Lying on the lounge chair, I opened WeChat and started replying to messages. Seeing that I was finally active, My best friend immediately sent a bunch of question marks and started telling me what happened today. On the school forum, the photos and videos of Xiao Jiajia and Lu Li had all disappeared. He guessed that Xiao Jiajia had hired someone to do it. On top of that, my buddy also sent a photo over. Xiao Jiajia had posted on the school intranet, claiming that the whole thing with Lu Li was just a misunderstanding and that our relationship was still going strong, with no breakup at all. I saw that a lot of people actually believed it. The two of us were childhood sweethearts who grew up together and had been dating for several years. Plus, our looks and abilities were a perfect match. So in the eyes of the students at Jingda University, we were truly a match made in heaven. After the photos on my WeChat moments were leaked that day, many people refused to believe it. They thought someone had intentionally edited them, tried to drive a wedge between us. Today, Xiao Jiajia posted a statement like that, making even more people believe that she and I hadn't broken up yet. I tapped to open the screenshot my friend had sent. It was Xiao Jiajia's clarification post. The content read, "Thank you everyone for your concern, but Shen Mo and I are still doing very well. As for the photos from 2 days ago, it was just a matter of helping someone in need out of a sense of justice. I hope everyone won't maliciously spread those related photos and videos. Otherwise, I will take legal action to protect my personal rights." It was a very concise statement. The sharp, firm wording left people with nothing to criticize. I scoffed, curling my lips. After replying to my best friend with a few words, I immediately opened the school forum. Since it was trending, the post from Xiao Jiajia was still pinned at the top. I didn't even need to search to see it right away. I tapped into the comment section and directly typed a line. "Right now, single. Any rumors of a stable relationship with Xiao Jiajia are entirely made up by her alone. As for the photos and videos of Xiao Jiajia and Lu Li hugging romantically in the rain, I was actually the one who leaked them. I politely wish the two of them stay locked together forever." After replying to that post, I thought to myself, since Xiao Jiajia wanted to disgust me so badly, then I didn't need to. No need to play nice. So I copied that text message and posted it once more on my personal page, tagging both Xiao Jiajia and Lu Li. After doing all this, I felt incredibly refreshed. I scrolled through my phone for a bit, then went back to my room to sleep. At the same time, when Xiao Jiajia saw my response, her face turned incredibly dark and ugly. She immediately opened our private chat on the school's intranet. "Shen Mo, where are you? Do you really have to be this heartless? For the sake of the feelings we shared all these years, please give me a chance to explain to Blipe, you, okay?" After waiting for a long time, Xiao Jiajia still didn't receive any reply from me. Weak with pain, she slumped against the sofa and downed the glass of wine on the table. She texted me again. "It is fine if we do not meet. Can I explain about Lu Li to you right now? I only wanted you to care about me a little bit more. He and I only shared a hug that day. That is all. Shen Mo, I only love you. I never thought about breaking up with you. Please do not be so heartless as to abandon me, okay?" After sending this message, Xiao Jiajia slid off the sofa and collapsed onto the carpet. She did not know what forces had intervened, but in short, she was completely unable to track my location now. I just didn't give her a single chance to breathe, completely vanishing from her life. Xiao Jiajia was constantly drowned in misery, only able to look over our old messages, hoping that in the next second, she would receive a reply from me. She thought that even if I scolded or beat her, it would be better than vanishing without a trace like this. But when she actually received this heartless message of mine, it cut her like a knife. Xiao Jiajia closed her eyes tight, and tears poured from her eyes. "Shen Mo, I really know I was wrong. Why can't you soften your heart toward me, even if just a little bit? You obviously used to love me so deeply. Since the day I dropped that bomb on the school forum, I hadn't bothered to care about her news anymore. That day, taking advantage of the rain, I took an afternoon nap. Right when I woke up, I received a message from Jiang Yuehiao. The two of us had only met once. I really didn't expect her to proactively remember me like this. Opening the chat window, "Shen Mo, do you want to go out and play? I'm hosting a party at a manor. The scenery there is beautiful. Are you interested?" Right after I opened the chat, Jiang Yuejiao's status on the other side already showed she was typing. She hurriedly sent another. "Please come, please. Everyone here is really nice. I definitely won't let them ruin your fun." Seeing this, I thought for a moment, then deleted the words "not going," since she had been so considerate and I had nothing to do anyway. Going out for a trip wasn't out of the question. Right after that, I asked her for the time and place. Seeing that I agreed, Jiang Yuexiao was overjoyed. We depart in 1 hour. That place is a private estate. Outside cars can't enter, so let me pick you up. Okay? Of course, if you don't want that, I can also wait for you at the end of the street. Since I had already agreed to go out with her, I didn't mind sharing my address. With the status of the Luo family in Hong Kong, if they really wanted to investigate, nothing could remain hidden anyway. I sent my location directly to her. 1 hour passed very quickly. I had just woken up from a nap when I received a photo from Jiang Yuexiao. She messaged that she was downstairs. After letting Thumb Thun Weird know my schedule, I finally took the elevator downstairs. As I walked out of the hotel, Jiang Yuexiao spotted me right away. First, she leaned out of the car window. But then, realizing it wasn't a good look, she quickly ducked back inside and opened the door. Honestly, Jiang Yuexiao didn't even need to wave for me to see her. The white SUV was just too hard to miss. I quickened my pace toward the car, wondering whether I should sit in the front or the back. But Jiang Yuexiao just opened the back door for me. The front seat is already reserved by a certain VIP, she said. I'll have to trouble you to sit in the back. Sorry about that. I nodded in thanks and was about to get in. But then, a hand suddenly appeared, in my line of sight. I looked up, and my eyes locked with the person sitting inside. Once again, I was still completely captivated by Ko Thon Han's looks. This man was simply flawless. Need a hand? At his words, I was a bit confused about what he was thinking. I looked at his hand, then back at his face. In the end, I instinctively placed my hand on his arm. Once I was settled, I buckled my seatbelt. Meanwhile, Ko Thon Han just stared at the spot where I had touched him, thinking about how warm my hand had felt. Furthermore, the moment I touched him, his heart felt strangely tickled, and a soft shiver ran through his entire body. Ko Thon Han found himself acting so strange, as if his entire body were about to catch fire. He pursed his lips, feeling a burning sensation on his ears. Quickly, he turned his head to look out the window, trying to hide his embarrassment. Jiang Yuexiao took in the whole scene in her rearview mirror, snickering to herself before humming a tune and starting the car. On the way, I gripped my seatbelt, feeling a bit tense. Ko Thon Han, now composed, keenly noticed my tense posture. He frowned, thought for a moment, and then lightly nudged the back of the front seat with his foot. Drive a little slower. Thumb Mart, are you not feeling well? Oh, I get car sick. It's fine, nothing serious. I'm just a bit dizzy. I won't throw up. Jiang Yuexiao immediately slowed down even further. Noticing her gesture, I quickly stopped her. Just drive at your normal speed. It's fine. Better to get it over with quickly. Jiang Yuexiao looked a bit skeptical, but seeing the determination in my eyes, she sped back up. A few minutes later, Ko Thon Han suddenly told her to pull over. In no time, a person waiting on the sidewalk handed a bag through the window. Ko Thon Han took it, opened it up to check, and once he confirmed it was what he wanted, he pulled something out of the bag and handed it to me. Honey grapefruit lemon tea. Drink this. It'll help with the nausea. I was taken aback. Pointing a finger at myself, I asked, "Is this for me? You're the only one in the car who needs it. Then I won't stand on ceremony. Thank you." I gave him a polite smile and took the cup. Seeing me tilt my head back, with my Adam's apple bobbing as I drank, Ko Thon Han stared, momentarily captivated. Once I finished, Ko Thon Han pulled a box of medicine from the bag and handed it to me. Motion sickness pills. It was completely unopened. This time, I felt genuinely embarrassed. So I silently recalled his name, tilting my head to look at him. Ko Thon Han, are you always this thoughtful? Sitting in the front seat, Jiang Yuexiao overheard and burst out laughing. Ko Thon Han, thoughtful? That was easily the funniest joke she had ever heard in her entire life. Yet, Ko Thon Han, sitting in the back seat, was completely flustered. He didn't even answer the question, to my question, only smiling as she spoke. We still have another hour's drive before we arrive. Take this medicine, and the rest of the trip will be a bit more bearable. I nodded, and then asked a question. Tilting my head back, I swallowed the pill and leaned back against the seat to rest. As for whether Gu Qinghan was a thoughtful person, after all, we were just strangers who crossed paths by chance. To me, it didn't really matter that much. Time passed bit by bit, and my breathing gradually became steady. With the gentle shaking of the car, my head began to tilt to one side. Just as it was about to bump into the window glass, Ching-han instinctively leaned over and reached out. Her hand blocked the gap between my head and the glass. In the next second, my forehead rested snugly in her palm. When she lowered her eyes and saw my face, only then did Gu Ching-han realize how impulsive her action had been. She instinctively held her breath, afraid of waking me from my deep sleep. But at that moment, Gu Ching-han suddenly felt as if her heartbeat no longer belonged to her. Beat after beat, it completely exposed her nervous and flustered state of mind. When I opened my eyes, the first thing I saw was Gu Ching-han, with her face looking extremely tense. The distance between us was incredibly close. So close that not only could Gu Ching-han catch the scent on me, but I could also smell the sandalwood fragrance on her. Her arm was right in front of my face, and the spot where my forehead rested carried her warmth. I shifted my body slightly, moving my head to the side to free Gu Ching-han's arm. She pulled her hand back, a trace of panic flitting across her face as she said, "I'm sorry for disturbing your rest." I shook my head gently, taking in every single detail of her face, and said softly, "I really like the smell of sandalwood too. Out of all the fragrances, you could say I'm absolutely obsessed with sandalwood. That was also why I once gave Xiao Jiajia perfumes that had sandalwood notes in them, but unfortunately, she never used them." However, Gu Ching-han, who was sitting right in front of me now, reaffirmed my taste. A cold, elegant woman was a perfect match for this woody scent. After a brief thought, my eyes lit up. "I have a bottle of perfume that would suit you perfectly, but I don't have it on me. I'll have someone deliver it to you another day. Would it be all right if I gave it to you then?" Hearing this, Gu Ching-han stared straight into my eyes. It took a long while before she forced herself to look away. Does Mr. Shen always give gifts to others like this? Not at all. But Miss Gu's beauty and elegance are truly a perfect match for it. That perfume was custom made, so it's one of a kind in the world. Do you still want it? Seeing that Gu Ching-han hadn't given a clear answer just now, I asked her once more. Time continued to slip by, second by second. Jiang Yuejiao, who was driving up front, could only feel that the atmosphere in the car had become somewhat indescribably intimate. But she was sensible enough not to speak up and ruin the moment. Only after a long while did Ching-han suppress her urge to smile and nodded gently. Then it settled. Saying that, I took out my phone and asked for her address. Jiang Yuejiao drove a bit further, then reminded us that that little ancestor of ours had already arrived at Hualuo. Her car stopped at a three-way intersection, where 2 cars were already parked. Seeing us, a young teenager ran over. "How dare you, Brother Jiang Yuejiao, not coming to pick me up?" But when he clearly saw the person sitting in the back seat, he suddenly stood straight up, snapped to attention, and quickly forced a smile, with a flattering smile. "Hey, Ching-han, long time no see." Gu Ching-han casually glanced at him, saying nothing. But that single look was enough to make Xiaoyan shudder. Ever since they were kids, Xiaoyan feared neither heaven nor earth, even daring to clash with his own old man for a few rounds. Gu Ching-han was the only one who could terrify him to his very bones. If he had known Gu Ching-han would show up at today's gathering, he definitely would have made an excuse to back out. Didn't they say earlier that Gu Ching-han wasn't coming? Why was he suddenly here? He shrank back, wanting to hide behind someone else, but just as he moved, he saw another person step out of the car. After being introduced, he greeted me right away. He seemed like a pretty outgoing guy. Before we'd even spoken a few words, he started asking if I had any older brothers or sisters. I blinked, about to answer. But just then, a voice suddenly rang out from behind the two of us. "What are you two talking about?" The voice was so cold it sent shivers down my spine. As for Xiaoyan, who had just been winking at me, hearing this voice made him look like he was being choked. He didn't say a word. "But do you really care what we're talking about anyway?" With that, he rolled his eyes, glanced at me, and then smiled. Then he ran off, leaving me standing there all by myself. Gu Ching-han, standing not far away, called out to me. I looked toward where the voice came from and saw Gu Ching-han leaning against his car. He gestured with his finger, beckoning me over. Judging by his lips, he seemed to be telling me to come closer. I have seen was quite a sight for sore eyes. But what was with this feeling like he was calling a dog? I mumbled under my breath and slowly made my way over. Gu Ching-han stared intently at my moving lips. Once I got close, he asked what I had just said. Hearing that, my expression instantly froze. I thought to myself, is Gu Ching-han's hearing really that good? I didn't think I even made a sound. Seeing my flustered look, Gu Qinghan easily guessed what was on my mind. I saw it, not heard it. Only then did I snap out of it and turn around to find a spot next to Gu Qinghan to lean against. I didn't say anything. If Gu Qinghan heard what I was just thinking and actually ended up treating me like a dog, I'd be doomed. How could I ever show my face again? Gu Qinghan, of course, saw right through such an obvious cover-up. At that, he naturally changed the subject. Now that you've got out of the car to rest, do you feel any better? I'm okay, not feeling so bad anymore. Actually, after drinking that honey water and taking a nap, I already felt a lot better. Now, probably because I'm walking around and getting some fresh air out of the car, the motion sickness is completely gone. Hearing her say that, the smile on Gu Qinghan's lips deepened. Eventually, we both fell silent, just looking up at the sky together, before us. A moment later, Xiao Yan was already fooling around with the others in the distance. He looked around and decided to find Ingguiet Zhao to snitch. When he passed by me and Gu Qinghan, he even intentionally sped up a little. Seeing the lively energy of youth, I couldn't help but smile. Gu Qinghan, standing right beside me, quickly noticed the smile on my face. Do you like someone with a personality like Xiao Yan's? Gu Qinghan could tell from Jiang Nuyet Zhao to Xiao Yan. I've always had absolutely no resistance against someone with such an outgoing and lively personality. How did you manage to spot that so easily, just by looking? Well, your eyes are incredibly sharp then. Don't you think people with personalities like theirs are really warm? When I first returned to the country, I felt completely out of place with everything around me. Even though I knew Chinese, my vocabulary and speaking speed compared to kids my age were lagging far behind. Because of my pride, back then I was really shy about speaking up. I hated talking in front of others because I was afraid they would see right through my weaknesses. But there were always a few kids around, constantly calling out to me to go hang out with them, probably because they thought I looked decent enough. So, even though I rejected them time and time again, they still persistently kept after me. At first, when they realized I spoke slowly, they didn't mock me at all, but patiently waited for me to finish my sentences. After that, they even helped me practice my speaking speed. Over time, once I got used to it, I completely integrated into my surroundings. Although we barely kept in touch after graduation, since then, towards people with personalities like theirs, I've always felt a natural sense of familiarity. I was lost in nostalgic memories of the past. After hearing the word warm, started questioning herself. With her own personality, would Shen Meng find her warm? The answer was no. Except for Jiang Yuejiao's group in Port City, almost everyone was afraid of her. She was definitely not the type to bring warmth to anyone. It wasn't long before the group set off again and arrived at the manor. After getting out of the car, everyone went about their own business. Only Xiao Yan and I were free. He pulled me into a corner of the manor and gave me a thumbs up. Brother Mo, you are seriously so cool. So, since I'm singing your praises like this, could you let me in on a little secret? What exactly is going on between you and Sister Han? Why do you ask? Because you're the first guy to show up around Sister Han and be tolerated so much. The first guy? For real? With Gu Qinghan's looks, there must be plenty of guys chasing her, right? Surprising, isn't it? I'm just as shocked as you are. Brother Mo, what kind of trick did you use to win Sister Han over anyway? He asked. This, clearly convinced that the relationship between Gu Qinghan and me was anything but simple. In Xiao Yan's mind, Gu Qinghan was someone with a cold, aloof personality who didn't care about anyone. Wealthy heirs like them had to rely on the reputation of their family elders just to get a chance to stand in front of Gu Qinghan. But I was different. According to what he had gathered from Jiang Youjiao, Gu Qinghan attended today's party, which she originally had no intention of joining. Even so, strictly speaking, she and I had only met for the second time. And yet, when the group gathered, Gu Qinghan even found an excuse to drag me into her car, and ended up driving me herself. Forget Xiao Ye, even Jiang Yuejiao's crowd. He had never sat in a car driven by Gu Qinghan herself. What on earth are you talking about? Me. Winning her over? Confused, I turned to look at Gu Qinghan, who was not far away. As if sensing my gaze, she also turned to look back at me. Our eyes met, and without flinching, I offered her a smile. Then, I turned back. Xiao Ye, why would I have to win her over? Couldn't it be that she's trying to win me over? Judging by how Jiang Yuejiao's crowd reacted, I wasn't so dense that I couldn't tell Gu Qinghan had feelings for me. Brother Mo, aren't you a bit too confident? Are you actually serious? Just teasing you. Right now, I don't plan to be with you guys. What does she have to do with it? Don't overthink it. Seeing my incredibly calm reaction, Xiao Yan immediately got a bit anxious. She could, you know. I was only asking about her out of pure curiosity, with no other intentions. I already have someone I like, the person who was just with me. I know that. Don't be nervous. Seeing his anxious expression, I quickly reassured him, while secretly wondering, what on earth did Gu Qinghan do to scare him this badly? Right then, from behind us came the sound of familiar footsteps. From where Xiaoyan was standing, he could easily see who the man was. But the very next second, as his gaze swept over, he immediately hid behind my back. Mr. Mo, Sister Han and Sister Yuejiao are coming. Seeing how he wished he could shrink his entire body behind my back, Jiang Yuejiao found it a bit amusing. Seeing the reaction of the others, Xiaoyan fell silent. He only knew that as long as I was there, Gu Qinghan wouldn't pay him much attention. And of course, that was true. From the moment Gu Qinghan walked over until she stopped, her eyes were fixed entirely on me. Only when all four of us fell into silence did Gu Qinghan finally glance at Xiao Yan. To Xiao Yan, that look was as freezing as ice, and he immediately took off and vanished. Seeing this, I curled my lips slightly and looked at Gu Qinghan. You scared? Xiao Yan away. Now who's going to stay and help me kill time? Jiang Yueqiao quickly piped up. Let Sister Qinghan keep you company. There's a swing right over there. Sister Qinghan loves sitting on swings. Why don't you two go hang out there? You two make yourselves at home. Oh, let me go and see how the food preparation is coming along. In the blink of an eye, the two of them had disappeared without a trace. Gu Qinghan was in no hurry either. She just stood quietly beside me. Once in a while, her gaze would drift over to me. But seeing that, I was completely lost in thought while looking at the scenery. She didn't speak to disturb me. Half an hour later, it wasn't until Jiang Yueqiao and the others called us for dinner that I finally snapped out of it and headed over with Gu Qinghan. The vegetables in the manor were all homegrown, and even the chickens, ducks, and geese were freshly slaughtered. All of it was to enjoy the freshness. This group of people had even brought along a chef and an entire team with them. By the time we finished eating, night had fallen. Everyone else shared a silent understanding, leaving me with Gu Qinghan. Then, the convoy lined up and drove into the downtown area of Port City before gradually dispersing. In the end, only Gu Qinghan's car was left on the road. She slowly reduced her speed, wishing this road could be a bit longer. Just a little bit longer. But eventually, I still couldn't hold out and drowsily closed my eyes. Only then did she speed up to head to the hotel. Gu Qinghan got out of the car, took a bag from the person waiting at the entrance, and asked them to prepare a cup of hawthorn juice for me, adding that having half a cup would be enough, as drinking too much might upset my stomach. All right, thank you for your concern, eldest Miss Gu. I'm heading up first. Text me when you get home safely so I know. Saying this, I waved and turned to walk into the hotel. Not until my figure had completely vanished from sight did Gu Qinghan finally turn around, get back in her car, and drive off. A few days later, in a basement somewhere in Port City, hoarse, weak pleas for mercy echoed. The iron door blocking the basement entrance was pushed open. The person who had been waiting there, here, pass me those gloves. Hang Ji, we've gotten all the answers we needed. Everything they took has been completely wiped, too. How many did they take? Assistant Wenyan immediately handed over the phone, which were all photos of Mr. Shen's daily routine. The hotel that gentleman is staying at is still pretty secure, so these guys hadn't managed to sneak inside yet. Gu Qinghan took the phone and scrolled through the photos one by one. When she saw my smiling face in pictures, her cheeks blushed slightly. But when she thought about how these photos were all obtained by those people using dirty tricks, Gu Qinghan's face instantly darkened. She patiently deleted every single photo, wiping them completely to ensure there would be no loose ends. Only then did she ask her assistant who was behind this. It's the eldest young master of the Liu family, Liu Ru, Yan. That day, Mr. Shen went to a bar, and he just happened to be there as well. Liu Ruyan is obsessed with looks, and since Mr. Shen's appearance is so outstanding, it's only natural he targeted him. Gu Qinghan started walking towards the room at the end of the hallway before coldly refuting, "It has nothing to do with Shen Mo's looks. He hired people to stalk and sneak photos of Shen Mo purely because he's a depraved playboy." Stepping into the room, she personally interrogated the men who were being held under water. Once she confirmed no details were missed, Gu Qinghan took off her gloves and threw them to the ground. Utterly ignoring the agonized screams behind her, Gu Qinghan turned and left. She sent everything they had done along with the evidence. The rest could simply be left for the higher-ups to handle. Oh, by the way, arrange a time to have the old master, the Liu family, come see me. If he can't control his own people, I'll do it for him. The next day, I tossed and turned in bed for a long time, but I just couldn't seem to open my eyes. It wasn't until Shen Qingyue called that I finally forced myself out of bed. Are you still asleep? It must be midday back home by now. Yeah, I slept so well last night, I didn't want to wake up at all. My people in Harbor City noticed that someone has been tailing you recently. Once I got the news, I had people look into their identities. But 2 days ago, the people tailing you completely vanished. Just a moment ago, my people got word that they've been locked up. Hearing that, I snapped wide awake. Sister, it wasn't you who did it? Of course not. If it were me, why would I even bother telling you? Hearing this, I frowned slightly. As I tried to make sense of it, a few familiar faces flashed in my mind. When I didn't say anything for a moment, Shen Qingwei quickly sensed something. She asked me directly, "Do you know who did it?" I guess it might be Gu Qinghan and Jiang Yuehiao. They know me. We actually just had dinner a few days ago. But as for whether they actually had a hand in this, I'm not entirely sure. Why would they help you? Because they're from the Gu family in Jing City. Really? I thought for a moment, then blurted out, something even I wasn't sure about. It's possible that Gu Qinghan wants to pursue me. But why Gu Qinghan and not Jiang Yueqiao? After a bizarrely long silence, Shen Qingyue seriously thought about it and felt that it wasn't impossible. This time, it was my turn to be silent. After a moment, I finally spoke up. Maybe because Gu Qinghan is prettier than Jiang Yueqiao, the Gu family's relationships are highly complex. Not to mention, she's the current power and holder of the Gu family, whom ordinary people simply can't afford to offend. Are you sure you want to get involved with her? And what about Xiao Jiajia? Have you really let her go? Shen Qingyue believed that with my personality, I definitely wouldn't let go of Xiao Jiajia so quickly. Otherwise, I wouldn't have needed to leave the capital to come to the harbor city. The only reason I did so was to run away, hiding until I completely let go of my feelings for Xiao Jiajia, so that I wouldn't soften and go back to her because of her vulnerability. But one shouldn't use someone else or another relationship to achieve that goal. Instantly, understanding Shen Qingye's thoughts, I rolled my eyes. Sis, I'm broken up, not widowed. Besides, Xiao Jiajia did me wrong. Why should I suffer over losing her? Or even hurt an innocent person because of her? The upbringing I received never taught me to cling to a cheap cheater. Leaving the capital, I simply wanted to go out and have some fun. If I absolutely have to say it, has to do with Xiao Jiajia. It's just that I didn't want to give her a chance to linger around and disgust me. Do you get what I mean, sis? Hearing these words, Shen Qingwei should have breathed a sigh of relief because I wouldn't lie to them. But thinking about Gu Qinghan approaching me, her anxiety surged again. After all, compared to Xiao Jiajia, Gu Qinghan was truly far too dangerous. After comforting my over-worrying eldest sister for a while, I finally used the excuse of being hungry and wanting to find food to hang up. Next, I opened the chat with Jiang Yuehiao to ask her about being followed, but it turned out she said she didn't know either, and then she immediately called me. It wasn't me. But Sister Han might know, or even if she doesn't, she can still help you investigate it. Why don't you ask her? The thing is, Sister Han might be a bit busy today, so she might not have time to reply to your messages. It just so happens that I'm about to go find her. Why don't I take you over there directly? Did this even make sense? Gu Qinghan was so busy, yet she still had time to meet me? Thinking this, I asked her directly, Gu Qinghan is so busy, yet she still has time to meet me? Hearing this, Jiang Yuejiao smacked her forehead and awkwardly explained. Her implication was clearer than ever. No matter how busy Sister Han is, she always has time to see you. Do you want to go? Come on, let's go. I pretended not to get her hint. Sure, but I don't know the way. Send me the address first. No need to go through all that trouble. I'll come over. Just picking you up is fine. As soon as she finished speaking, she hung up immediately. Half an hour later, Zhang Nayet, Zhao's car pulled into the Gu family ancestral estate. After parking, we walked inside, though there was still a bit of a distance to go. On the way, I caught a whiff of that sandalwood scent a few times. The two of us walked up to the villa and saw an old man standing by the entrance with a hunched back. Next to him was a kneeling woman. My eyes briefly swept over the two of them. I felt a bit puzzled, but I didn't care to pry. Jiang Nugget Zhao stopped right in front of the old man. She nodded slightly and called out politely, "Elder Lu." "Ah, Nguyet Zhao? Are you here for Gu Qinghan?" "Yes, I have some business with Sister Han. If you'll excuse me, I will head inside first." "Elder." Lu forced a weak smile. Jiang Nguyet Zhao gave a polite, perfunctory response. Her gaze, sweeping across Elder Lu's pale face and the cold sweat beading on his forehead. Elder Lu nodded slightly and glanced over. Seeing me walking side by side with Jiang Nguyet Zhao, he looked a bit taken aback. Which family's young master is this? He wondered. To have Jiang Nguyet Zhao personally bring him to see Gu Qinghan, his background must be anything but simple. While he was busy speculating about my identity, he didn't notice his granddaughter, who was kneeling right beside him. The moment she caught sight of my face, her expression instantly went rigid. Now, Lu Ruyan finally understood why Gu Qinghan had suddenly targeted the Lu family. But hadn't he and Gu Qinghan only met once? Could she have already claimed him as hers, or had Gu Qinghan set her sights on him? Oh no. I actually tried to fight over a man with Gu Qinghan, but I hadn't even done anything yet. I only got someone to take a few photos to dig into his background. The more Lu Ruyan thought about it, the more pale her face became. She took a sharp breath in secret, reaching out to tug at the hem of Elder Lu's coat. "Grandfather, I think I know why Gu Qinghan is targeting our family. Wait here for a second. I will go inside and let her." No. On the other side, Jiang Ngyet Zhao led me to the living room foyer and told me to wait a moment while she went in to report. Entering the main hall, she greeted all the big shocking figures seated there before walking over to Gu Qinghan. Lowering her voice, she whispered, "Shen Mo wants to see you, so I brought him here. He's right at the entrance. Is he here to ask for the money?" Gu Qinghan, who originally paid no attention to Jiang Ngyet Zhao's arrival, slowly looked up from the documents she was reviewing when she heard those words. Her gaze swept across the room, resting on the jade privacy screen at the entrance. Then, she handed the folder in her hand to her assistant. "We are done for today. Dismissed." In the Gu family, Gu Qinghan's word was the absolute command. No matter how far the negotiations had progressed, or whether the issues had been resolved, as long as Gu Qinghan said dismissed, no one dared to linger for even a single second. Everyone, in the living room, filed out one by one. Keeping a polite smile, I was about to step aside to give them space. But before I knew it, Gu Qinghan's figure appeared right in front of me. She stopped about 2 steps away from me, barely holding back her urge to step closer. "Mr. Shen, I am sorry to have kept you waiting." I shook my head, feeling the constant searching gazes of the people around us, and calmly continued my conversation with Gu Qinghan. I didn't wait long either. I came. Is greater than because I have something to ask. Gu Qinghan gestured for me to come in. I stepped forward, walking past Gu Qinghan step by step to enter the living room. Seeing Gu Qinghan actually making way for me, someone in the crowd that was preparing to leave couldn't help but ask out of curiosity, "Who is this?" "It's none of your business. Don't ask so many questions." I was just curious. "All right, let's go. The person who had asked still wanted to argue, but when sharp glares from the shadows locked onto him, he only wanted to get out of there as quickly as possible. The crowd at the entrance quickly dispersed. In the spacious living room, only I, Gu Qinghan, and Jiang Yuejiao remained. Yuejiao, who was already sitting on the side couch, smiled meaningfully at Gu Qinghan when she saw her walking behind me. After that, she let out a long yawn and wobbled her way out. "I'm still so sleepy, so I'm going back to sleep." Now, once she left, Gu Qinghan immediately turned towards the door on the other side. "Follow me. The living room is for receiving outsiders. Is greater than. Let me take you to the tea room. Music is greater than. I only came to confirm one thing, you. No need to go to all that trouble. I'll leave as soon as I get my answer." But it seemed Gu Qinghan had no intention of letting me leave so soon. Sure enough, right after, I heard her excuse. "It's no trouble. After all, I must host my distinguished guest properly." We walked in silence, until we crossed a small garden and entered the adjacent tea room. Gu Qinghan gestured for me to sit and then asked what kind of tea I wanted. I replied that anything was fine, then sat opposite her, watching her expertly rinse the cups and brew the tea. It was obvious she had done this many times before. The blue and white porcelain teacup twirling between her fingertips created another mesmerizing sight. Seeing this, I was no longer in a hurry. I just propped up my chin with interest. watching her leisurely finish brewing a pot of ginger tea and savoring the final product. Seeing that I seemed to like it, Gu Qinghan smiled. After I finished drinking, she refilled my cup. Is there something you need from me? I wanted to ask about the people who were stalking me. Did you help me deal with them? Of course, I'm just asking. Is greater than, because out of everyone I know in Harbor City, the only ones close to me and powerful enough to do so are you and Yue Xiao. I already asked Yue Xiao, and she said, it wasn't her. That's why I came here to ask you. It was me. Earlier, when you came in, is greater than? Did you see the person kneeling at the entrance? He's the one who hired people to follow you and take sneak photos. Don't worry, I've already thrown them into prison. Is greater than. Seeing my expression turn a bit strange after hearing the words sneak photos, Gu Qinghan added. Those daily photos, I've already cleaned them all up, so there's no need to worry. First, I apologized for the trouble, but knowing a simple thank you is far from enough. I also made a promise. If there's anything you need my help with, I'll definitely do whatever is within my power to help. Gu Qinghan nodded, turned around, and asked, have you had lunch? Yet? Not yet, actually. I only woke up an hour and a half ago myself. It just so happens lunch was just finished. Let's go, Mr. Shen. Those words, Mr. Shen, sounded as if she were softly savoring them in her mouth, carrying an indescribable, subtle tone. I followed behind her, instinctively tilting my head up and gently touching my ear, which was burning hot. Actually, you can just call me by my name, or Xiao Mo. My family and friends all call me that. Hearing this, her forward steps suddenly faltered. Gu Qinghan stopped completely and stared at me, her eyes fixed on mine. Right after that, she made her move. She softly called out, Xiao Mo, and I was completely defenseless. That slightly tender voice of hers totally disarmed me. By the time she walked ahead, I gently pressed my hand against my racing heart. When we reached the dining room, 4 or 5 dishes were already laid out. Throughout the meal, neither of us said a word, but one look at my face was enough to tell. I was extremely pleased with this meal. When Auntie Lee came to clear the table, she even singled me out with a compliment, saying, this kid has a really healthy appetite. Thank you, Auntie Lee. It was delicious. Just like my mom's cooking. Next time, just let Qinghan know in advance. Whatever you feel like eating, just have Qinghan tell me, and I'll cook it. For you. Thank you, Auntie. Shenmo nodded obediently and sweetly apologized for the trouble. But after Auntie Lee left with a satisfied smile, Gu Qinghan suddenly teased Xiao Mo, have you thought about when the next time will be? Hearing this, I looked up in surprise, only to catch a half smile on Gu Qinghan's face. Why are you so eager all of a sudden? I'm just worried Auntie Lee will be disappointed in you. Whether she is disappointed or not doesn't depend on me. It depends on you. If President Gu invites me, then I'll come. Hearing this, Gu Qinghan's eyes instantly lit up. She eagerly teased, then how about you come every single day? I furrowed my brows and gently shook my head in refusal. Ignoring her disappointed look, I wiped my mouth. I'm full. Thank you for the treat, President Gu. I should get going. Now. Goodbye, President Gu. Gu Qinghan said goodbye too, but her body instinctively moved to follow and see me off. If you're busy, I can just grab a cab myself. She stepped in front of me, leaning down slightly with a hint of shyness. Is that so? But I am more than happy to drive you back. If I don't show my sincerity and end up getting rejected again, I'll really lose face. At that, I smirked and gave her a thumbs up. How thoughtful of you, President Gu. Good luck then. On her way back, Gu Qinghan kept thinking about that good luck comment. How should she work hard? What did she need to do to make Shen Mo willing to come over for dinner every day? Or maybe even greedily wish to be by her side every single second? When she returned to the old Gu family villa, she saw Auntie Lee, who should have gone to bed early, still sitting on the sofa. Aunt Lee, why aren't you asleep yet? Aunt Lee stood up and looked at Gu Qinghan with a gentle gaze. I was waiting for you. Was that boy from today the one you've set your heart on? Hearing this, Gu Qinghan's eyes softened, and she nodded. So, does he like you back? Oh, with this personality of yours, no boy has ever liked you since you were a kid. Now that you like him, Qinghan, you have to treat him well. When he comes for the betrothal proposal one day, you must remember to bring the keepsake your mother left behind for her son-in-law. Seeing Aunt Lee getting way ahead of herself, Gu Qinghan quickly interrupted her. I don't even know if he likes me yet. Music. It's way too early to talk about this. With those words, All of Aunt Lee's daydreams vanished into thin air. She gave Gu Qinghan a disapproving glare. You really are useless. He only came to Hong Kong for a trip. He'll probably leave soon anyway. So what? If he doesn't take the initiative, can't you? You have to make an effort and pursue him. Once you win him over, tell him to move to Hong Kong and settle down. It's not like that, Auntie. Gu Qinghan gently rubbed her temples. Before, Jiang Yuejiao had also said similar things. It seemed everyone assumed that as long as we were together, I had to sacrifice my own life to stay in Hong Kong. But this was so unfair to me. We aren't dependents of anyone. We are free, individuals who can go wherever we want. First of all, Shen Man is a free man. He can stay wherever he wants. So what if he doesn't want to stay in Hong Kong in the future? Aunt Lee frowned, a bit surprised. Gu Qinghan had always been headstrong, yet when faced with my affairs, she seemed to become a completely different person. Gu, Qinghan said, almost without hesitation. Then, wherever he is, I'll go find him. Then, you should try to make him like you soon. Otherwise, even if you go looking for him, he might not even want to see you. Feelings have no logic to them anyway. Once he has caught your eye, don't worry about gender roles. Just go ahead and pursue him boldly, Gu Qinghan replied. At the same time, in my heart, I thought to myself that since I had just ended a relationship, it was best not to pursue the person of my dreams too aggressively. This was, since Gu Qinghan's birth, the most challenging situation she had ever faced. The next day, I carried the packed snacks back to the hotel. As soon as I reached the door, I saw my room door wide open, and there were several strangers gathered in front of it, both men and women, none of whom I knew. Right at that moment, a young man walked out of the room. Hurry up and clean up the inside. My friend is about to arrive. But instead of going over there, I called Shen, Than Nguyet. There were so many of them, and I wasn't stupid enough to go over there and confront them alone. After getting a definite answer from Shen, Than Nguyet, I hung up and was about to leave. Right at that moment, a waiter walked out of the room and spotted me with a glance. He exclaimed in delight, Mr. Shen, you're back. As soon as he said that, the people inside and outside the room immediately turned their eyes to me. The person, I was just about to lift my foot to leave. At that moment, not only did I not stop, but I also quickened my pace. However, they clearly had no intention of letting me walk away. A few guards outside the door quickly rushed over and blocked my path. At the same time, the man inside the room slowly stepped out. After sizing me up from head to toe, he let out a cold sneer. Running? From what? I want to use this room too. So grab your pile of trash and get the hell out of here. This room was the best suite in the hotel. Previously, Lin Ruoxuan often used it to entertain guests. Not many people had the means to stay in this room long term, so it was usually left vacant. But to Lin Ruoxuan, even if someone was staying here, it didn't matter, just a minor figure with a bit of cash. In this city, they weren't even worthy of carrying his shoes. Hearing this, I also sneered. Glancing at the watch on his wrist, my smile turned even more disdainful. Then why are you holding on to my pile of trash? I asked. He hadn't expected me to speak so bluntly. Lin Luoxian froze. What the hell are you talking about? I don't understand. Can't understand human speech? That's fine, I can explain it to you. The Patek Philippe Grandmaster chime on your wrist belongs to the mechanical line. Reference 1518. 1 year ago, at an elite auction in France, it was sold for 350 million yuan, and the person who bought it was a businessman from China. That person's last name is Shen. At this moment, though he didn't know if my words were true or false, when Lin Ruoxuan heard the price of the watch, the first thought that flashed in his mind wasn't caution or fear, but pure greed. A value of 350 million yuan. No wonder he had fallen in love with it. At first sight, he raised his hand to look at the watch, his mind constantly scheming, and quickly made a decision. I don't know what you're talking about, but this watch is mine. Throw this guy in his trash. Out of here. In this city, he was the one who called the shots. Since the watch was on him now, it belonged to Lin Ruoxuan, no matter who came asking. I quietly reached for the weapon hidden in my pocket, calculating a way to escape. However, before I could make a move, the elevator doors behind us suddenly slid open with a chime. Next, a woman with a tall figure, leading more than 10 bodyguards, walked out quickly. I turned my head to look back and instantly recognized her. It was Lin Ruoe, the head of the Shen family's branch in this city, and also the representative of Shen Qingyu in this city. Sister Ruoe, I'm over here. Seeing the young man who looked exactly like the photo, a man handsome to the absolute extreme, Lin Ruoe was stunned once again. She quickened her pace and ran to my side. Without a single word, she immediately scanned me from head to toe. Only after making sure I wasn't hurt did she finally breathe a sigh of relief. Don't worry, I'm fine. We hadn't even started fighting yet. We were just about to, though. Meanwhile, ever since Lin Ruoe appeared, his eyes had been glued to her. But when he saw that the very first thing Lin Ruoe did upon arrival was show concern for me, his face immediately darkened. Lin Ruoe, what are you doing here? What is your relationship with him? Hearing the voice, Lam Lak Vi finally turned around. But she had absolutely no idea that the danger I faced was actually connected to Lam Lak Hien. Was this all you? So what if it was me? You are nothing more than a daughter cast aside by the Lam family. Don't think you can change anything just by showing up. Lam Lak Vi. Let me tell you, no matter if it is you or this guy, just a single word from me, both of you will have to get lost in utter humiliation. Honestly speaking, Lam Lak Vi and Lam Lak Hien hadn't seen each other in a very long time, but no matter how long it had been, this half-brother of hers was still so incredibly stupid that it made her face darken with rage. So, she walked up, right in front of Lam Lak Hien, raised her hand before his terrified eyes, and prepared to bring it down with a heavy blow. Crack. Lam Lak Hien's face was whipped to one side, and the welt quickly swelled up red. Lam Lak Vi shook her hand, which was numb from striking with so much force. This slap is just some interest collected in advance. Lam Lak Hien. Not everyone is someone you can afford to cross. Only after she finished speaking did Lam Lak Hien realize he had just been slapped. Seeing this, he clutched his face and shrieked in a frenzy. Who gave you the nerve to lay a finger on me? Ah, you're dead. However, Lam Lak Vi only looked with contempt as Lam Lak Hien rushed toward her, only to be blocked by the bodyguards he had brought along. Music, Sister Lak Vi, maybe you should take a few steps to the side. My voice suddenly cut across the argument between the two. Turning her head, Lam Lak Vi saw that I was holding up my phone to record them. Lam Nuok Huyen also saw my action, instinctively hid his hand behind his back. All right, there's no need to hide it anymore. I've recorded everything. What's more, I've captured every single one of your faces on video. After saying this, I lowered my head to send the video to Tom Than Guyet, and then continued speaking. The valuables in my room aren't just limited to that. Watch. There are countless other items of equal value. If even one item goes missing or gets damaged, you will have to pay for it. Earlier, because I was in a weak position, I endured as much as I could, but now, I stepped past Lam Lak Hien and walked into my room. Although, I had prepared myself mentally beforehand, seeing my belongings scattered all over the floor, and even the broken shards of my jade bracelet, my heart clenched with pain. This was a glass species imperial green jadeite. I continued recording with my phone until I confirmed that the only damaged item was this bracelet. Only then did I feel slightly relieved. Right after that, I looked toward the person Lam Lak Vi had brought over. Lam Lak Hien was blocking the doorway. You're the one who's actually about to be finished. Lam Lak Vi's expression wasn't looking any better either. She hadn't expected Lam Lak Hien to be this incredibly stupid. Shen, is there a lot of damaged stuff? Quite a lot. It's easily worth several 100 million yuan. Hearing that figure, Lam Lak Vi was so shocked that her jaw dropped. As for Lam Lak Hien, he stood dazed for a moment before starting to shriek. What kind of nonsense are you talking? How could you possibly carry so many priceless items around with you? Even though he said that, but deep down, Lam Lak Hien was feeling incredibly uneasy. Too bad for him. This time I didn't even bother to glance at him. I just turned around and sat down on the sofa in the room. Let's wait for the police to get here. Then we'll talk. Are you trying to make peace with me? What do you mean? Did you actually call the police? Hearing this, Lam Lak Hien tried to barge into the room, but was blocked by Lam Lak Vi's bodyguards. Lam Lak Vi, tell your men to get out of the way. You'd better stop playing these stupid games. Are you threatening me? Let me tell you guys, in this city, calling the police doesn't work for just anyone. As for that guy named Shen, even if he's some kind of dragon, he still has to bow down before me. Hearing that, I glanced at him and casually muttered, "Oh, really?" He was about to say something else, but saw me already stepping aside to answer my phone, completely denying him the chance to speak. I tested my voice with a soft, "Hello?" Hearing my voice sounding normal, Gu Qinghan, on the other end of the line, finally let go of the breath she was holding. "The police are already there, and I'm almost there too. Don't worry. I don't mind." How did Gu Qinghan even know that I ran into trouble here? All I knew was that the moment I did, she would rush here immediately. That thought instantly put me in a much better mood. "I'm almost there. Do you care about me that much?" "Of course I do. I only have one VIP guest, and that's you. If I don't care about you, who else would I care about? Is it really just me?" "Yes, only you." Gu Qinghan fell silent on the other end, for a moment before replying with absolute certainty. "What about the future then?" "The future will be the same." Gu Qinghan pulled up her car in front of the hotel, looked up at the towering building in front of her, and took a deep breath. "Only with you. Does it even make sense to think about a future? I've arrived." Hearing this, a shiver of cheesy secondhand embarrassment ran down my spine. But then I looked at the phone number on my screen. I couldn't help but laugh softly. "All right, I'll be waiting for you. Music." Gu Qinghan. Meanwhile, right outside the door, Lam Lak Hien was throwing a massive tantrum, screaming, "Lam Lak Vi, why on earth are you helping him like this? What do you even get out of blowing this whole thing out of proportion? Like this? Besides, helping an outsider like him, aren't you afraid? I'll tell Dad?" Lam Lak Vi remained completely expressionless, entirely unmoved. Seeing this, Lam Lak Hien's face turned beet red with rage. He whipped out his phone and threatened her. "I'm calling Dad right now." This used to be the very threat that terrified Lam Lak Vi the most. But now, she just stood guard outside my door, completely ignoring him. Within seconds, Lam Lak Hien's call went through to his father. "Dad, my sister and some guy are ganging up on me." On the other end of the line, Father Lam's face darkened. "That ungrateful brat. Tell her to answer the phone." Without even asking what happened, just because Lam Lak Hien complained, Father Lam immediately pinned all the blame on Lam Lak Vi. Hearing this, Lam Lak Hien smirked triumphantly at Lam Lak Vi. He quickly turned on the speakerphone and shoved the phone forward. "Dad wants you to pick up." Lam Lak Vi cast her eyes down at the phone in front of her. Even though she knew she was completely cast aside by the Lam family, hearing her father's voice still brought a wave of bitterness to her heart. Just as she was hesitating whether to reach out and take the phone, my hand suddenly reached out and snatched it. "Hey, old man, who are you?" Hearing an unfamiliar voice, Father Lam frowned, trying to figure out who it was, ordering, "Who the hell are you anyway? Put Li Luowen on the phone, now. And why on earth should I listen to you? Don't you understand plain English? You still dare to ask why? Who do you think you are? You actually have the nerve to stand in front of me and ask why? Who am I? You ask? Well, then you're finished. From now on, I'm going to be the creditor of your Lin family." Hearing this, Father Lin froze, suddenly getting a terrible feeling of dread. I had no intention of explaining further, so I just hung up, then tossed the phone back to Lin Ruoxuan. As she scrambled to catch it, I smirked just as the elevator doors slid open. The moment Gu Qinghan saw me like this, her heart felt as if it had been struck by a heavy blow. She stared blankly at me, her mind completely empty, unable to think, only instinctively taking step after step toward me. It was only when I noticed her that the smile on my face deepened, and I waved my hand at her. The gesture was like an owner calling over their little puppy. But strangely, Gu Qinghan didn't mind it at all. Instead, she picked up her pace a bit. Out of everyone in the room, only Gu Qinghan and I were smiling, while everyone else looked utterly pale. Gu Qinghan didn't spare a single glance for anyone else, walking straight to my side. "How do you want this to be handled?" she asked. "Compensation and an apology. But you don't need to get involved. I can handle this myself." "All right, I'll listen to you." This woman's gentle demeanor made Lin Luoe doubt his own eyes. Not only him, but even Lin Ruoxian, whose legs had turned to jelly and could barely stand upright from the moment Gu Qinghan appeared, was staring with wide eyes. If she had known sooner that I was connected to Gu Qinghan, even if she had 10,000 times the courage, she wouldn't have dared to cross me. Thinking this, Lin Ruoxuan tremblingly took off the watch. Handing it back to me in an attempt to smooth things over, she said, "Mr. Shen, here is your watch back. As for what happened today, could you find it in your heart to not hold this against me? Not hold a grudge? That's going to be a bit difficult. Perhaps someone of your high status doesn't know me, but those who do know very well. I hold grudges for a long, long time. Saying that, I snatched the watch from Lin Luoxuan's hand. Disgusted, I pinched it with 2 fingers, shook it, and tossed it back into Lin Luoxuan's lap. Besides, once something gets dirty, I don't want it anymore. Hearing this, Lin Luoxuan's face turned completely pale. He opened his mouth to explain, but the moment he met Gu Qinghan's ice-cold gaze, he was too terrified to even breathe a word. Very soon, the police arrived. I immediately handed the video on my phone over to the officer in charge. After they investigated the scene and pulled the hotel's security camera footage, the officer in charge firmly ordered, "Mr. Lee, I need you and your associates to come with us." Lin Luoxuan's face drained of all color as he clutched his phone. After hesitating for a long while, he finally called Mr. Lin. After cooperating with the officers and giving our statements, Lin Luoe and I left together. Lin Luoe wasn't one for formalities, smiling as he said, "Mr. Shen, you're like an older brother to me. Just call me Luoe." Shenmo, where do you want to stay next? A place like a hotel. You can say it's safe, but then again, it's really not. Anyone with a little bit of power can always find a way to meddle. Anyway, is the place you mentioned ready for me to move in? Yes, it's all cleaned up. Then I'll head over right now, okay? With that, I turned to look at Qinghan. Are you busy with anything next? It wasn't that Gu Qinghan had nothing to do. She just felt that helping me get settled was her top priority right now. She didn't stay with me though. On the other hand, it was Lin Luoe who had abandoned his business partners just to rush over. Seeing Gu Qinghan by my side, his worries instantly vanished. After saying his goodbyes, he hastily left. Once Lin Luoe was gone, Gu Qinghan suddenly remarked, "Lin Luoe is currently working for the Rongxian group." I nodded. I know. Seeing that I didn't intend to elaborate, Gu Qinghan didn't press further. Instead, she pointed at the car and said, "Let's go. I'll help you move. Are you going to do it yourself? Is there a problem with that? You're the great CEO Gu, after all. Having you help me move feels like a bit of a waste of talent." An hour later, at Shengshi Jiajing, most massive and luxurious villa district in Sea City. As I followed the address Lin Luoe had sent me and found the villa, Gu Qinghan suddenly paused. Once I noticed, I casually asked, "What's wrong? If I told you the house next door is mine, would you believe me? What a coincidence. In that case, please look after me from now on, neighbor." As I spoke, I reached out my hand toward her. Gu Qinghan reacted quickly, shaking it as she replied, "Likewise, please look after me as well, Mr. Shen." As she let go, her fingers gently brushed across my palm. Meanwhile, on the other side, Lin Luoxian never expected that even though his father had pulled strings with high-level connections, he still couldn't get out. What's more, once his lawyer got to the bottom of the situation, they concluded that a private settlement was the only way provided that I agreed to it. After turning down several meeting requests from the Lin family's lawyer, 3 days later, I received a call from my own lawyer. By the time I arrived, the group in the room had already run completely out of patience. Lin's father sat frozen in his chair with a look of pure disdain. Before I could even sit down, he demanded, "Well, speak up. How much money is it going to take for you to let my son go?" Hearing this, I walked over to the main seat in the center, sat down, and calmly finished my tea before replying, 1 billion. Mr. Shen, that price is a bit too steep, don't you think? I leaned back, took the photos from my lawyer, and tossed them in front of Lin's father. That's only because you let him run wild. If you can't even cough up 1 billion, why are you playing the big shot in front of me? Do you even know how much the watch your son stole costs? Do you know how much the jade bracelet he shattered is worth? Do you have any idea how much all my missing belongings are worth? 1 billion is already a discounted price, down to the absolute minimum. I'm only doing this out of respect for you as Lam Laqian's biological father. It wasn't that Mr. Lam had never seen these photos before, but previously he didn't pay them any mind. But now, he had no choice but to pick up the appraisal report on the table to examine it. And the more he read, the uglier his expression became. In the end, Mr. Lam even crumpled up the stack of appraisal reports. Crumpling it until it was completely disfigured, he recalled what Lam Laqian had said and began to protest. "There is no way the things you lost could be this much. My son only took a watch from you, and the only thing damaged was that jade bracelet. Who says so? My belongings are worth exactly as much as I say they are. You should know that all of my items have airport customs records. Since they are, nowhere to be found. I can only blame the young Mr. Lam here for entering illegally. Of course, as long as he has evidence to prove that he didn't take them, I will just accept my bad luck. But as Mr. Lam knows, Lam Lakian cannot prove that his break-in isn't real. Rummaging around, damaging, and even stealing my things is also a fact. But even if he could scrape up this 1 billion, he wouldn't just throw it away on Lam Lakian. After taking a few deep breaths, Mr. Lam put on a flattering smile. Why don't Mr. Shen tell me how you want to handle this matter? Lam Lak Vai is your daughter. Hearing these words, Mr. Lam's heart skipped a beat. Yes, indeed. I heard that Mr. Shen and she have a good relationship. More than good. I really like Sister Lak Vai. Mr. Lam immediately let out a sigh of relief. He rubbed his face, his attitude shifting to act like they were already family. Since we are practically family now, perhaps Mr. Shen could show some leniency for Lak Vai's sake and let Lak Hien go? Once those words were spoken, no one expected that I would actually nod in or agreement. Even Mr. Lam gasped in disbelief. But in the very next second, I tapped the table and added, for Sister Lak Vai's sake, if you hand over the shares that Sister Lak Vai's mother left for her to Sister Lak Vai, then the amount will be cut in half. I will drop the lawsuit and let your precious son go. No way. That is 10% of Lam Group's shares. Old man, I think you're misunderstanding one thing. Here, I am not negotiating with you, but giving you an ultimatum. Either you settle according to my demands, or let Lam Lak Hien go straight to prison. Of course, I know Lam Lak Hien doesn't carry enough weight. So how about we throw in all the collaborations between Vin Thin and your Lam family? These words were like a heavy blow to Mr. Lam's head. He staggered for a long moment before finally regaining his composure. What exactly do you mean? When you forced Sister Lak Vai to cooperate, you probably didn't foresee today, did you? Right now, half of the Lam family's projects are funded by Vin Thin. Have you ever thought about what would happen if Vin Thin withdrew its capital? The resources the Lam family has poured in so far would go up in smoke? I'm sure you must have thought about it. You just didn't believe Sister Lak Vai would treat the Lam family this way. After all, Lam Group is her mother's life's work. Furthermore, in your eyes, Lak Vai is nothing more than a woman working for Vin Thin. She cannot represent Vin Thin. No matter how capable she is, what could she possibly achieve? Even if, anyway, these projects are actually making good money for Rongsheng. How could Rongsheng possibly hold anyone accountable? Honestly, you weren't entirely wrong with your guess. Luowei indeed wouldn't mess with her mother's life's work. But as for me, I'm different. What the hell does the Lin family have to do with me? At worst, once the Lin family goes under, I can just have Rongsheng build up another Lin family. After all, Lin Luo Wei also carries the Lin name. I didn't even bother looking at the angry Lin Fu, who had jumped to his feet, as I calmly refilled my teacup. Who on earth are you? I told you a long time ago. I am the biggest creditor of your Lin family. Aren't you afraid my Lin family will drag your precious Rongsheng down with us? Hearing this, I instantly burst out laughing. Why should I be afraid? Rongsheng playing around with your Lin family is, at most, like losing a single finger. Do you really think I'd care? Actually, even without me spelling it out, Lin Fu understood this perfectly. He had forced Lin Luoe to cooperate with his family on the gamble that Rongsheng, being thousands of miles away, wouldn't notice. As long as any issues arising from the partnership were minor, Rongsheng wouldn't bother looking this way. But he absolutely never expected me to show up, let alone that I would step in to protect Lin Luoe. Just thinking about this, he almost slid right off his chair. A moment later, Lin Fu braced himself against the table to stand up. He figured he could abandon Lin Luoxian, but he absolutely could not abandon the Lin family. So, he obediently bowed his head, waiting for me to show some mercy. I will have Luoe come over to sign the share transfer agreement. Just hope you can go easy on us. Please. Spare Luoxian and the Lin family. Business is business. My compensation cannot be short by even a penny. Lin Fu nearly coughed up blood, but could only force a smile and nod. After waving goodbye, I watched Lin Fu's stiff figure turn around rigidly and walk away. Finally, I sneered and pulled out my phone to call her. It's all settled. On the other end, Shen Qingyue gave a faint murmur of agreement. Just as I was about to hang up, I suddenly remembered something and asked, her sis, you care so much about Sister Luoe. Are you keeping something from me? After a long silence from Shen Qingyue, I called out to her again. In response, my sister started stuttering and making excuses, which made me certain those two had something going on. Hearing the beep, after she hastily hung up, I pouted and stood up to leave the private room. But as I reached the door, I ran into someone completely unexpected. Before I could even dodge them, they walked straight up to me. Shen Mo, it really is you. I can't believe you're actually in Harbor City. No wonder. Xiao Jiajia couldn't find you anywhere. Luo Nan patted my shoulder in a familiar way. I immediately blocked his hand, then pushed him away. Get lost. I'm busy. I'm leaving. Come on, Shen Mo. Don't be like that. Even if you and Jiajia had a fight, we're still friends, right? Hearing that, I looked at him closely. Friends? So, you telling Jiajia and leaking my location just now was also because we're friends? Don't think I didn't see you. He had been tapping furiously on his phone earlier. I didn't even have to think to know he was sending her a message. For who? Shen Mo, you've got it all wrong. I just thought that between you and Xiao Jiajia, there might be some misunderstanding, and I wanted you two to clear it up. Besides, it's not like I'm blaming you. In our circle, who is completely squeaky clean anyway? Xiao Jia has kept herself pure for you all these years, which is more than enough. And to be fair, she and Lu Li didn't actually do anything. Why do you have to play this disappearing act? Do you have any idea how worried she's been about you these past few days? Right. Now, she's gotten so thin I can't even bear to look at her. Luo Nan spoke with growing self-righteousness. Hearing this, I let out a cold sneer. Are you Xiao Jia's father or something? To be defending her like this? Or are you waiting until you're crippled so she'll have to kneel by your bed, carrying your bedpan and emptying your trash? How can you say something nasty? Do you think your words sound any better? At least I'm speaking human language. But the moment you open your mouth, it stinks like a fart, making people want to throw up. And you claim that no one in this circle is clean? That's your time, circle, not mine. Just because you all are filthy, you expect everyone else to be just like you? Trash belongs in the dumpster. Stay the hell away from someone as noble as me, and don't you dare come near me. With that, I turned and walked away. While behind me, Luo Nan was so furious his eyes bulged. He pointed a shaking finger at my retreating back, torrent of curses on the tip of his tongue. But I didn't give him the chance. In the end, he took a deep breath and continued texting Xiao Jiajia, while Luo Nan maliciously leaked my whereabouts. On the other side, the person who had been ordered to guarantee my safety told Jiang Yuejiao, who was absolutely thrilled to hear it. She excitedly clipped the audio from the surveillance camera and sent it into the group chat, followed by a flurry of thumbs-up emojis. I, Jiang Yuejiao, have never admired anyone in my entire life, but I absolutely bow down to Shen Mo's sharp tongue. As a result, less than 1 minute after it was sent, Xiao Yan sharply caught on to the person mentioned in the recording. Seeing this, Jiang Yuejiao's face instantly froze. She hurriedly typed, "Recall it, quickly." Though Xiao Yan didn't understand, he immediately recalled his message. Just as Gu Qinghan opened the group chat, she paused when she saw this. I saw it. At this, Jiang Yuejiao had no choice but to give up on recalling the file. She chuckled awkwardly to cover it up. By now, Xiao Yan also realized he had made a mistake, so he quickly tried to salvage the situation. Right, sis. With Shen Mo's personality, how could he let himself be bullied? But as messages kept popping up in the group chat, Gu Qinghan didn't say another word. Sensing that something was wrong, Jiang Yuejiao directly clicked on Gu Qinghan's profile picture to send a private message. But even after tapping away furiously for what felt like forever, Gu Qinghan still didn't reply. Sitting in the surveillance room, the woman's face darkened, and she wished she could slap herself right then and there. Why on earth did my hands have to be so itchy? Why did I post a recording about Shen Mo in the group chat? At this moment, Jiang Yuejiao was filled with deep regret, while Gu Qinghan, who was far away in her office, clicked open the file. Hearing the name that I repeatedly mentioned, her entire body went completely silent. Gu Qinghan softly repeated the name, her finger tapping incessantly on the desk. She always felt like this person looked a bit familiar. Besides, what weighed on Gu Qinghan's mind the most was her identity. She was my ex-girlfriend. But even if she was just an ex, it still made her incredibly uncomfortable. Even so, what made Gu Qinghan feel even worse was that she didn't even have the right to get jealous of this ex. She tapped on my profile picture, staring at our chat window for a long time, before finally letting out a soft sigh. Everything important is all wrapped up, and you still haven't thought of me? She whispered to herself. But then, in the very next second, she saw a notification pop up in our chat window. You nudged Shenmo's smart head, increasing the impact by 1. Staring at the message, she panicked and desperately tried to recall it. But my message had already come through. Now there was no getting out of it. Gu Qinghan let out a soft sigh. Shenmo, are you done with work? Yet? With no other excuse to use, Gu Qinghan could only fall back on formal business as a cover. I read her message, teasing her on purpose. She was so direct. I could easily picture Gu Qinghan's serious expression when typing this. Then, I looked at the clock and texted back, "Oh, really? Then how much do you want to see me?" Gu Qinghan waited, but got no reply. With a serious expression, she fell deep into thought over this question. Even when her assistant knocked on the door for quite a while, she didn't notice. Only when she snapped out of it did she call out for her to come in. The assistant pushed the door open and entered, just about to report the remaining schedule for the day, but was interrupted by Gu Qinghan. "I want to ask you something." She sat straight, looking more serious than ever, which startled her assistant into thinking something earth-shattering had happened. After carefully framing her words, Gu Qinghan spoke again. "Hypothetically, and I mean just hypothetically, okay? Suppose you tell the person you like that you want to see them, and then they ask you back how much you want to see them. How should you answer?" President Gu, was it Mr. Shen who asked you that, right? I thought it was some major crisis. Why make it sound so serious? Well, who would have thought? Our President Gu actually knows how to say she wants to see someone. Hurry up and tell me. Stop talking nonsense. Yes, President Gu. I think, Mr. Shen, I didn't say it was Shen Mo. After a brief silence, Gu Qinghan just gave up entirely. Go on. The assistant coughed softly to hold back a laugh and began to analyze seriously, drawing from her own rich dating experience. I think Mr. Shen asked you this because he obviously knew you'd be too shy to answer, so he was just teasing you on purpose. Hearing this, Gu Qinghan pouted, feeling a sudden wave of disappointment. She had thought I was trying to read her heart. So, it was just a joke? Based on my guess, that's highly likely. But if you really have doubts, President Gu, why not just ask Mr. Shen directly? Between lovers, the biggest taboo is second-guessing each other. If there's an issue, just speak openly. If you talk it out and things work, then great. If you aren't compatible, then you go your separate ways. So, there are no regrets. Those last words were just a casual remark from the assistant, but Gu Qinghan took them to heart. She fell so deep into her own thoughts that she didn't even notice when the assistant left. On the other end, I waited for a long time without getting any message from Gu Qinghan, which left me a bit puzzled. It wasn't until I got home and unlocked my phone. As soon as I checked my phone, I saw the message from Gu Qinghan. Really miss you. Those 4 very simple words. I typed out a reply while climbing onto the sofa, sitting cross-legged. Deciding to tease her since she took so long to reply, I wrote, "Is that all you have for me? Just these 4 words?" Feeling like I was getting the short end of the stick, I then saw her last few words. Gu Qinghan walked into the parking garage. As she drove, she wondered if her message had any other hidden meaning. A moment later, she replied, "Then I will make it up to you." Seeing those words, my heart skipped a beat, but I didn't think too much of it. Putting my phone down, I headed straight to the bathroom to take a shower. A few minutes later, I grabbed my phone and was about to head downstairs to find some food. But right at that moment, Gu Qinghan suddenly called. "I'm right outside your door." Grabbing my phone, I rushed downstairs and opened the door to find her standing there. She looked like she had just come straight from the office, her face slightly flushed and still out of breath. Seeing me staring at her, Gu Qinghan instinctively took a step forward. "I bought some specialty snacks from Harbor City to make it up to you. Let me see what you've got here. At least let me in first. It's pretty windy out here." As soon as she said that, I stepped aside to let her in. "I only have disposable slippers, so you'll have to make do with these." As I spoke, I grabbed a pair of disposable slippers from the cabinet above. Seeing that I wasn't at all annoyed by her sudden visit, she instantly felt completely at ease. That egg waffle shop is a famous old brand in Harbor City. It's sweet but not greasy, and so soft and fluffy. Give it a try. I also got roast duck and some fried food here. Perfect. I haven't eaten anything yet either. Thanks. As we walked over to the dining table to start eating, I suddenly stopped her. Wait a second. Do you want some wine? Wine? What kind of wine? Fruit wine I brought back from Kim City. However, her attention was no longer on the wine, but on the name of that place. This was the first time I had ever mentioned where I was from. Gu Qinghan's eyes lit up. She secretly thought that my mention of Kim City meant I was planning to open up to her. The more she thought about it, the more excited she got. But on the plant outside, she did a great job of keeping her cool. Quickly, I brought over a tightly sealed jar of wine and sat down at the table. I got this back when I went to visit my hometown. An old lady there taught me how to brew this mulberry wine. It's delicious. You're in for a real treat. With that, I expertly popped the cork on the jar, and instantly, a rich, fragrant aroma of wine wafted into our faces. By the time I poured a full cup and handed it to her, she hesitated slightly. Should I drink? Back home, my family always watched me closely, so I could only have one small glass at a time. Well, now's your chance, so have a little drink with me. No, that's not it at all. I'm just worried you'll get drunk. Gu Qinghan's alcohol tolerance was actually very high, so she wasn't worried about herself. But she was a good judge of character, and she could tell my tolerance was definitely terrible. I swore up and down to reassure her, then took the lead and raised my glass. It's fine, I won't get drunk. Having no choice, Gu Qinghan reluctantly humored me and raised her glass, sitting there eating and drinking with me. An hour passed, and the third glass of wine in my hand was empty. Seeing me start to fidget and reach my hand toward the wine jar, she said, "Don't drink anymore, Shenmo. If you drink any more, you'll be drunk." With a flushed face, I insisted once more. What are you mumbling about anyway? How could I be drunk? The more I drink, the more sober I get. Having said that, I tightly grabbed Gu Qinghan's hand, which was blocking my face, and started to use force. Why won't it budge? I'm clearly using all my strength. Hey there, this hand of yours looks pretty nice. I stared at it for a while, then suddenly extended my index finger and gently placed it on the back of Gu Qinghan's hand. Then, under her surprised gaze, I slowly caressed her fingertips. She softly asked, "Shen Mo, are you drunk?" She tried to pull her hand back while I wasn't paying attention, but my eyes were too sharp. I reached out and snatched it right back, impatiently glaring at her. "Don't move. Let me see." Hearing this, Gu Qinghan took a deep breath. She felt a throbbing headache at her temples. All right, there was no need to ask anymore. This guy was definitely drunk. Didn't he claim to have a high tolerance? He's only had 3 glasses. With that thought, she sighed, trying to pull her hand back, but found she couldn't. Apparently, a drunk like me was still on guard against her. I giggled as I pulled Gu Qinghan's hand close to my cheek, then lowered my head to nuzzle against the back of her hand. "Gu Qinghan, I love the way you look when you look at me." Her breathing suddenly became heavy. She let my face press against her hand, while she lowered her head and quietly sipped her wine. Not long after, I suddenly demanded, "Change," to the other hand. The last one was too hot. I don't like it. Gu Qinghan obediently extended her other hand. I caressed it thoroughly. Once I confirmed that I liked this one too, Gu Qinghan stayed silent. At those words, she, who had been trying so hard to maintain her composure, suddenly blushed deeply. She let out a breath and watched me, bowing my head over her hand, feeling slightly relieved that my attention wasn't focused on her. But in the next instant, my gaze, which had been lingering on her hand, wandered away and stared at her unblinkingly. "Gu Qinghan, your face is so red. You must be the one who's drunk." Hearing this, Gu Qinghan instinctively used her other hand to cover her face. "Shen Mo, do you really want to see who's the drunk one here?" My eyes lit up. "What did you say? How could there be such a good deal?" I stood up abruptly under Gu Qinghan's startled gaze. The very next second, I was standing right in front of her. At first, Gu Qinghan tensed up, holding her breath. But seeing my hazy eyes, she quietly let down her guard, carefully taking in my scent. If I leaned in just a little closer, I would touch the tip of her nose. For a moment, she actually wanted to pull closer. Fortunately, she regained her composure in time, but I became even more audacious. Fumbling over her, my fingers finally brushed against her earlobe. The moment I touched it, Gu Qinghan almost lost control. She gritted her teeth and turned her head to avoid my breath, whispering flusteredly, trying to coax me, "Shen Mo, stop playing around. I didn't hear a thing." "But you did." "I didn't." I glared at her, pretending to be angry. Just when Gu Qinghan thought I was about to get angry, she saw my gaze shift down from the tip of her nose, then to her lips, and continuing further down until my gaze locked onto that spot. Gu Qinghan was startled by my gaze. She bolted to her feet so fast, fastest ever. "Shen Mo, don't you dare act up." I put on a bewildered face. Scratching my head, I replied, "What are you afraid of?" "I'm not afraid, and I don't even want to take advantage of you anyway. Besides, didn't you just tell me to look? When did I ever say that?" She was only halfway through her sentence when Gu Qinghan suddenly realized. She actually had mentioned the word, "Look, you misheard me. That's not what I meant." But as soon as she said it, my face fell into a deeply aggrieved look. Gu Qinghan couldn't bear to see me like, "Hear this." Seeing me swaying, barely able to stand, she panicked so much. Her heart skipped a beat. She compromised and walked over to me. "Fine, touch it. But there are some places you can't touch." See, that was her mistake. Why on earth did she try to reason with a drunk person anyway? Seeing that she had softened, I smugly patted Gu Qinghan's shoulder. "Gu Qinghan, I want to go to sleep now." Hearing this, Gu Qinghan froze on the spot. "Go to sleep? How? How do you want to sleep?" "Wash my face, brush my teeth, then lie in bed and close my eyes. What else does sleep mean?" A moment later, Gu Qinghan followed me upstairs, straight into the guest bedroom. When she walked in, she saw me holding a brand new toothbrush, smiling at her. Then, I found a face towel and a bath towel and shoved them into her hands before leaving with a satisfied look. Gu Qinghan stood there holding a pile of unopened items, completely at a loss for words. At that moment, Gu Qinghan suddenly felt like she might be completely wrapped around my finger for the rest of her life. From outside, my voice called out again. She hurried out to find me with toothpaste in my mouth, already brushing my teeth. I tilted my head and muttered a good night to her. Good night? More like a headache. A few minutes later, Gu Qinghan stood by the bed, looking at me fast asleep under the covers. She turned off the light and left the room, but she didn't go back to her own place. Instead, she slept in the guest room right next to mine, keeping both of our doors open. She knew that when someone is drunk, there is a risk of vomiting and suffocating in their sleep. She just couldn't leave me alone. Fortunately, I slept peacefully until the next morning. She placed some porridge and hangover soup that had been delivered on the table, left me a note, and then headed to the office. I didn't wake up until noon, parched. I stumbled downstairs to get some water from the kitchen. Only then did I notice 2 thermos flasks on the table. I wondered what they could be. I walked over to take a closer look. Once I was sure they weren't bombs, I opened the lid and found some incredibly fragrant porridge inside. Instinctively, I looked around. I remembered going out to dinner with Gu Qinghan last night. But what happened after that? As I strained to remember, scenes from last night began to flash through my mind one by one. But when I realized how I had taken advantage of Gu Qinghan last night, I froze right where I stood. Was that really me? That unreasonable and demanding jerk. Was that really me? I collapsed onto the sofa, letting my body sink into the cushions. I felt like I was completely doomed. My deep-seated desire for Gu Qinghan had reached a point where even my subconscious was taking action. How on earth was I supposed to face Gu Qinghan now? Should I just pretend I don't remember a thing? But would Gu Qinghan even buy that? While I was debating with myself, the doorbell suddenly rang. Dragging my exhausted body, wished I were dead as I dragged myself off the sofa. Stumbling over to open the door, a few seconds later I saw the person standing outside was Gu Qinghan. Before my brain could even register it, I immediately slammed the door shut. By the time I realized what I had just done, my face was as ashen as ashes. This reaction of mine clearly showed that I still remembered everything that happened yesterday. Even through the door, I could hear her laughing outside. I took a deep breath, accepted my fate, and opened the door again. I know I went way too far last night. You can yell at me all you want. I bowed my head and apologized to her, then closed my eyes, bracing for a scolding. But the slap I expected never came. Instead, a warm hand gently patted my head. Seeing my startled eyes open, Gu Qinghan's lips curled into a smile as she asked, "Where exactly was? Leave it too far? And besides, how do you know I wasn't willing?" Before I could even recover from the shock, Gu Qinghan's face suddenly leaned in close to mine. "Shen Mo, do you know what I wanted to do last night when you got close to me like this? Do you?" For some reason, after Gu Qinghan asked that question, my eyes involuntarily drifted down to her lips. What did Gu Qinghan I want to do? I didn't know, but I knew what I wanted to do. Seemingly noticing My thoughts. She dropped back onto her heels, her feet flat on the ground. As she walked past, she left me with a whisper. My thoughts are exactly the same as yours. Hearing that, my mind was full of question marks as I hurriedly chased after her. What thoughts did I have? What thoughts did you have? Wait, that's not right. How did she know what I was just thinking? Unfortunately, Gu Qinghan didn't answer my question. Her eyes drifted to the table, where the untouched hangover cure tea and porridge sat. Did you just wake up? I wanted to press her for an explanation, but on second thought, that would make me seem too invested. So I held it in and just gave a cold, yeah. Seeing how Gu Qinghan naturally went to the kitchen to grab bowls and chopsticks, then ladled out the porridge and tea, I couldn't help but feel that the person in front of me was way too skilled at this. Immediately, my thoughts drifted to the clean dining table when I first woke up, and I felt a pang of guilt. Last night, don't tell me you cleaned up the dining room too? Yes, I did. I just cleaned it since I was already there. Theet. This person is just way too thoughtful and meticulous. It feels less like she's courting me, and more like she's raising a son. Seeing Gu Qinghan pull out a chair, I walked over and sat down, taking a sip of the smooth yam porridge. She, who had just pulled out her phone, glanced up at me. Aren't you having any? I already ate at the company cafeteria. Then, if you've already eaten, why did you even come over? But before I could finish the sentence, I caught myself. I shut my mouth just in time, but Gu Qinghan wasn't about to let such a perfect opportunity slide. I just came to see if our great young Master Shen was awake yet. It's just that I haven't had much major work to do lately, so I've been a bit lazy. It's not like I sleep until noon every day, you know. Watching my reaction, Gu Qinghan couldn't help but softly laugh. She felt that even if I did nothing, just seeing me made her mood improve uncontrollably. Because she was laughing so much, I gave her an annoyed glare, then quickly sped up to finish the rest of my food. But the moment I finished, I saw Gu Qinghan about to stand up and clean. Hey, no. I'm really not that useless. Let me do it myself. What kind of host lets their guests do chores? With that, I carried the insulated container and the bowls into the kitchen, then rolled up my sleeves and started washing them. Out of the corner of my eye, I noticed Gu Qinghan had followed me, without me realizing. She was standing at the kitchen doorway, staring right at me. I suddenly felt a bit self-conscious. What? You don't believe I can do chores? Not at all. Then why are you staring at me like that? I was just worried you'd get bored. Ah, so that's how it is. Since when did our President Gu become a therapist? Does it pay well? Gu Qinghan didn't get angry. She actually played along, putting on a thoughtful expression. Seeing me put the bowls into the sterilizer and turn around to grab the insulated container, she finally answered, well, it doesn't really pay that much. As she spoke, she handed me a paper towel. The main thing is making the client happy. Isn't that right, Mr. Shen? I wiped the water off my hands, pretending to act cool. I think it's just average. Average? How so? Why don't you tell me, Mr. Shen? In what way is it average? The woman in front of me had an incredibly stunning figure, and my eyes lit up. Once I caught myself, I quickly tried to play it cool and replied, you're too reserved. To do this job, you need to be a bit more. Like this? Or like that? What do you mean by like this or like that? Why can't I seem to understand?